Welcome, everyone, to the TCMR Podcast. I am your main co-host, Tao. I'm going to try to be funny, and I'm most likely going to get really mad about this one. I shall pass it off to my other co-host.
Hello, my name is RJ, and I'm also going to try to be funny, but mostly fail. I'm going to pass it on to Connor, another co-host.
My name's Conner, and I will try not to say anything.
All right.
Fail.
So, yeah, I know. Okay. So our topic is: did God of War Ragnarok deserve to win Game of the Year? My opinion is no, it did not. Elden Ring absolutely deserved that. What do you boys think, RJ?
All right. First things first. Me personally, graphical-wise, story-wise, I'm gonna hand it to God of War. So I'm gonna say God of War should have got it. What do you think, Connor?
I do think God of War deserved it too.
Are you gonna pass it on to me, or
Tao. What do you think about God of War?
it's not as good as Elden Ring? The story of Elden Ring is more complex. Not only is it more complex, it's just better. It's just built different. It's like having an older brother that literally smacks you so hard that you get sent to Jesus each time. And I thought that Kratos was strong. When you get your Elden Ring character and you just beat a boss, it feels so much better. Also, not even just beating characters, the story, and I get that's what we're trying to talk about right now, the story is like on point. Like, you have to go to this person, you have to go to the next person. Elden Ring has such a complicated story that if I talk about the 5 fingers, the 3 fingers, and the 2 fingers, that's like an entire thing I can go off on my own. If I want to just talk about how the Round Table Hold is a power place where you have to be safe, I can talk all about that. I can talk about different storylines about the 3 fingers known as the bad ending, the 2 fingers known as the regular ending, the Ronnie ending. That, like, all those endings are dope. Like, every ending in Elden Ring has a hit to it that's so hard that it slaps harder than Will Smith. What do you think about that, my co-host, RJ?
First of all, I gotta disagree with you on the story part, and I feel like Connor will back me up after I hand it to him. Story-wise, Elden Ring's all over the place. And that's just my thought on that. In my opinion, the fact that God of War Ragnarok shows a bond between like father and son, it just increases everything. And Thor and Odin being in it, and how Odin affects Thor, and Thor's just a drunken man being deceived by an old god. It really shows. And Atreus' journey, his path, not only helps the story, which I think Atreus' path really just adds on to how good it already is. I just feel like Elden Ring can't beat it, so I'm going to pass it on to Connor.
I have to agree with RJ. He is correct. Tao, what do you think about the difficulty?
Okay. All right. So, honestly, Elden Ring's difficulty is way harder or way easier. You can have friends, or you can be naked and you can have a club and try to beat the hardest boss. Ragnarok doesn't necessarily have a choice. You just have to be like, give me God of War, or I'm gonna be a little scoundrel and do the easiest difficulty. I get there's stuff in between, but like, you don't necessarily get to choose as much, because not only in Elden Ring you get to choose your classes at the beginning, which makes it even harder because you can just choose a wreck and then be a Giga Chad for the entire time, or you can be a samurai and be dope. Samurai class sucks, I'm gonna be honest with you, but like honestly, I went with a strength build. I went with hero, and that's how I beat the game. It was the most fun. I literally got to have a berserk sword, so guts, Like I got Guts' Dragon Slayer, and that was the most dope weapon with the finger shield, the fingerprint shield. And like honestly, the difficulty is way harder if you know what to do with it. If you're just gonna go with a dagger, it's gonna be way harder than what I did with like a shield and like a long sword. So it's more like choice. And I get like there's an argument to be made that there's choice in God of War Ragnarok, but not only is the choice in Elden Ring more diverse, you get to choose if you want to beat all the bosses or not. You get to choose what path line you get to choose, which makes the game harder because if you choose the three fingers route, then not only are you choosing the harder route, you take more damage by enemies. Otherwise, if you choose the main route or the Ronnie route, you get more the summon, you get more like items. Because if you choose the Ronnie route, you can become more of a wizard. You can like do more spells. You can get like the assassin. Like the assassin's like really key to the entire game if you want to be really good. But like I personally just got my mimic and got like a couple friends and then I beat the game. Like it's really fun when you just either want to be all in or all out. What do you think about that, RJ?
Well, there is one thing. There's only one thing I agree on that, and that's the diversity of Elden Ring when it comes to how you play the game, the diversity. But I have to say, God of War Ragnarok, newest God of War's Give Me No Mercy is fucking horrifying. I would wish Give Me No Mercy upon no one, not even my worst enemy. And I don't know, that's really all I gotta say. I'm gonna pass it on to Connor and see what he says.
So yes, Give Me No Mercy was the hardest difficulty on God of War to play, because one hit it would kill you, no matter what. Trying to beat any type of boss with Give Me No Mercy took like 5 hours for each boss. Anyways, so Dale, you have anything else?
I just gotta say, how about you try beating Melania with a naked dude with a very small knife when she has a 4-foot long katana? That's all I gotta say. Like the hardest boss in the game, that's like way beyond everything in God of War. You could literally go in the hardest difficulty in God of War, and that would not compare to the hardest boss in Elden Ring. Like that is like some hard stuff. I had the most overpowered build in the game, and that boss was still hard for me. That boss, even though that it took me 6 hours, it takes the average person an entire week just to beat that boss. So what do you have to think about that, RJ?
Well, first thing first, I gotta say, beating one of the hardest boss, if not the hardest boss in
It's
Elden
the hardest
Ring
boss ever.
with
I'm gonna be honest with you.
a dagger, short blade, whatever they're called, is I will say that sounds more insane than Give Me No Mercy. But to add to Give Me No Mercy, as Connor stated, one shot by almost anything and you're dead. You're gone. You have to restart the whole thing. It's horrible. But move on from difficulty. I would like to go with one of my favorite topics.
All right.
Combat. So I'm gonna pass the combat state to Connor.
Oh no. Alright. One second. Okay. Combat? Combat, if if you didn't have anything locked on, you threw your axe, it would hit a wall. It was completely weird how they had it. in Elden Ring, I don't know if you guys have had it, but there was a button you could press that would lock on automatically.
Bro, that's how I beat the game. That's kind of like a requirement unless you're stupid. I'm going to be honest with you.
In God of War, you'd have to press a button. If you forget that to press that button, you would not lock on.
Brutal.
Yeah, exactly.
It was brutal.
It was also brutal for Elden Ring. But, like, was it just in the beginning where you had to lock on, or did you have a choice during battle?
During every battle, you'd have to press a button.
At the beginning or at any time?
At any battle. No,
No,
not the beginning battles.
No, Connor. He's saying when he means at any time or at the beginning of a battle, he's talking like, let's say you're on a boss. Would you press it at the beginning, or can you, or do you have to press it any time, mid battle, end of the battle, beginning of the battle? You know what I mean?
You could press any time, no matter what you wanted. When you wanted it, you could do it. When you didn't want it, you could do it.
Okay.
Now, have you Well, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but when you were on Show Me No Mercy, when I played it, I didn't want to auto save or save it. So when I died, I'd have to restart at the beginning.
Okay.
Which was retarded.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
in my defense, I wanted to see how long it would take me.
Okay, that's kingly worthy, but that's still dumb.
Yeah,
it's what I'd like to call that is Asian mode.
Oh my god.
That's like doing Elden Ring without using any of the checkpoints.
That's like playing no hit Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough. The moment you get hit by a single bullet, you have to restart the entire 60-hour story.
That's like getting over it, but you only have to do skips.
No, that's like playing Call of Duty campaign, and if you get shot, you restart the entire thing.
A little backtracked. I'm sorry, but all right, just go ahead, Connor.
Oh, Taylor, you can go.
Oh, all right. Combat, probably best part of the entire game. Literally, any of the weapons has their own special ability, and it's so dope. If you want to be a samurai and have rivers of blood, that shit is so dope. When you just have a giant gash of blood going across a blade multiple times. And then you have Frost Stomp with this cool frozen axe. Where you stomp on the ground and then your enemies get frozen and then you hit them. It's so dope. Even with more brute weapons, it's having a lion's claw, which is what I did with my Dragon Slayer. That thing was dope because my character literally did a backflip and slammed right into the enemy. Not only for story mode is that dope, but okay, I'm going to talk about one more thing. There's one more weapon that I'm going to say. There's this one weapon that's literally just a spinning wheel that is so overpowered that it has not only blood loss to it, it's basically having a chainsaw in a regular game, and it's this massive wheel that you just roll on the ground, and it causes blood loss to any enemy. And if you get Morgott or anything like that, it's gonna be dead in and it's so cool. Not only in regular terms of combat, you can honestly, you have pots, you have arrows, you can I understand in God of War that you have arrows to shoot people with, but you have, I feel more of a choice on what arrows you want. You want to go with Scarlet Rot arrows, you want to go with poison arrows, you want to go with flame arrows, you want to go with frozen. Then there's the exact same thing with pots, and there's with healing. All that is so unique, and having the PvP system on top of that makes it so much more complex because it makes you want to do different strategies. when you just have someone that does a blood loss build, it's so annoying. But like the animation on any blood loss build is like so cool in the looking of it. Like if you're doing a strength build, it looks very nice. Like a wizard build, like you have this moon that you can throw at people, which is so cool. Whenever you have Radahn's armor and a strength build, it looks so dope. You look like the biggest guy on the planet whenever you do that. When you also have like the berserk sword or the fingerprint shield, you can bash people with your shield. I've beaten bosses just by ramming myself right into a boss with a shield. Like there's this one ability where you can just ram them, and it's so cool. Anyways, that's what I got to say about the PvP, and I will pass it on to you, RJ.
All right. So, combat-wise, God of War Ragnarok. Personally, I know that I've been supporting God of War Ragnarok a lot, but when it comes to combat, Tao did not miss at all. I just gotta say that.
Thank you.
I got nothing for Conner, you start off.
Well, the hardest boss in Elden Ring was boss Melania.
Yeah. Melania,
But
the
the hardest
Scarlet Rock Queen,
yeah, sure.
also known as the undefeated swordsman.
Alright, but also there's the Valkyrie Queen in God of War. And anytime you would aim at her, she would dodge out of the way. You would throw your axe and she would just dodge for some reason. While you were fighting Thor, he would grab your axe and throw it back at you.
Okay. You know what Melania did when you tried to attack her?
What?
With just a basic attack, she would literally dodge out the way. She was so quick that she would just dodge. Most of the time, you can't hit her.
Tail, your basic move in God of War is either telling Atreus to shoot her, or you throw an axe or run up to her and attack her with the axe. She would dodge when you did that. You had to be precise.
I get that. You know,
Well, that's all I have. That's all I have, Tail. You can talk.
The timing is way harder with Melania. If you made one mistake, then you would be dead in a matter of seconds. Like, when you messed up in Melania, unless you were like the biggest, like, if you had the most health in the entire game, she can two-shot you. I'm just gonna let that sink in a little bit. Like, she could two-shot you in our first stage, and there's two stages, and the second stage is way harder than the first one, because when you do her first stage, it's hard, and that's where most people get hella mad. But when you get on her second stage, you are screwed if you do not have a plan for her first attack. She will Scarlet Lock you and make it so that you have basically a poison build times like 3. Like, it hurts so much. And like, I've lost runs because I didn't dodge out of the way. And you have to be so precise because it happens and she goes straight towards you. Even cheese in Melania doesn't work because of that one attack in the second phase. So what do you have to say about that?
The Valkyrie Queen was a 2-shot. You would run up to her and she would just throw you or hit you and you'd be dead, have half health. Even if you had full health, you'd have to wait for a health item to spawn out of nowhere. Jay, do you have anything to say on that?
And if that health item didn't spawn quick enough, you'd be dead.
Okay. So I gotta say, even though that you have more RNG in that situation, even if you had your own health potion, she would not let you drink that. As soon as you tried to get your health back, not only when she stabs you, she gains health. You also, when you tried to drink your health potion, 99% of the time, she would literally just stab you and then like do her most famous attack where she throws you up, stabs you in your center, and then throws you. And that usually one-shots you. I'm not gonna lie. With your average health, that will one-shot you.
Hmm. So now let's move a little off your bosses in combat. Let's move on to world building.
Okay.
Oh,
So, in God of War Ragnarok's case, I feel as though the world building it's half-half. It's kind of limited, but when it does show, it really centers itself in the game perfectly. What do you think about that, Connor?
yeah. Like, for instance, where you would have to go find Kratos, but you find a bear instead. But while you look for him, you find enemies hiding on hills. You have to clear paths to walk. It's like part of the game. The nature you have is part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hell.
Okay. So world building. As you're going through the game gets different and different as you go. And I get that you mean like while you're trying to find Atreus, you get attacked by this thing. If you don't choose the right path in Elden Ring, a bear or any other creature that looks absolutely horrifying will literally just kill you. If you, okay, so like, for example, when I was really early on in the game, when I was trying to get Ronnie and I was trying to like kill her, um, and that boss was hard in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie. When you try to go to her, there are literally big lobsters that will squirt water at you and two-shot you. If you are not paying attention to where the lobsters are at, you are effed. You are like messed up. And like while you're walking down on, let's say, like this village, who knows when a red dude is just gonna spawn when you have a couple of friends and then you just get attacked. I okay. I'll go back to the world building. So like for example, like when you go to like Ronnie's castle, like you see so many like cool things. Like as you explore the world, you get maps and you can check out the world. The world building of Elden Ring is so much nicer in my opinion. Like, okay, God of War definitely has graphics, but if Elden Ring had the graphics of God of War, and I feel like you guys definitely have way better graphics, way better. Because my game has crashed multiple times on my computer, probably because it was bad. But the way that Elden Ring describes its story in the world just shows you what happened over time and time again of wars. Because this is the place that continues off of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and all of that. So you can tell that this was a war ground. And now you see these really old, retired bosses that are still basically like being at the peak of something. And as you go through, you're trying to get to the you try to get the Elden Ring, try to destroy the Elder Tree. That tree is like you have to fight this big giant that's like the fire giant, and that boss is like the most tankiest boss that you'll ever see. Like, and then as you're going up, you see all these giants that died during a war, and like that's just dope to me. And like everything that you go through, like during like the giants area, like there's so many like big bosses. There's not only like a lot of like just things. Like when you go to the volcano area, you see all these like monkeys just in these caves. You see all this like all these flying things, and then you see like the Iron Maidens, like that are just horrifying with their two like chainsaws trying to kill you. Like as you're walking through like each part of the place, and you don't have to try to kill every boss. You don't have to look everywhere, but as you look through the world, you really see that this place is messed up. That everyone is really just trying to survive and trying to do as much as they can. And honestly, I feel like it has better world building, but it's just that God of War has good graphics, and that's why people think that it stands a chance. What do you think about that, RJ?
First I'm gonna have to agree about the last part there. Good graphics can deceive a good world. But I will have to mention, when it comes to world building in God of War Ragnarok, I have to mention the realms, of course.
Yeah, of course.
They show little events that happen similar to Elden Ring in a way. They show events that happen that you don't get to see, but the details of what you see there explains the events to you without having to actually show them. And in each and every single round, there's different that took place that through the details it shows you, it explains it to you without you having to see it, basically. And I found that very well. I found it creative compared to new single player games around, but I also found it very hooking. It hooked you. It made you want to play more. It made you want to discover more. And the story itself, it really helped. It built that world that your character Kratos and Atreus lives in. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna pass it on to Conner.
I would like to say something. Elden Ring began production in 2017. Ragnarok began production in 2018, right after God of War was released. So, if God of War Ragnarok has better graphics and it took 4 years to create it, and Elden Ring took 5, why do we have better graphics? Like Tao said, Elden Ring has poopy graphics.
Well, okay. I'm gonna say something about that. It's not bad graphics. It's just that you guys have way more like bright colors.
It's
Alright.
it's
I'm
more
gonna
intrusive.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna continue. I actually forgot. I forgot what I was gonna say. Tao?
How'd you?
How'd you manage to forget that? You were literally just talking. Okay, you know what? We'll move on to Tao, but we're gonna come back to you because you had this whole thing set up and then you just screwed yourself over. All right, Tao, your turn.
You're like, okay, I'm about to say this big thing, and then you just pulled a Zorro moment, and we're like, so where am I? I'm in this forest now. Where did I go?
You were like, you became the president of the United States. How this whole speech came out, and if the paper's right there in front of you, and you're gonna read the paper, and you just forget it exists,
bro.
And then you don't know what to do.
Wait. Hey.
You just became Joe Biden for a second. I'm not gonna.
You literally copied Joe Biden's comical moves.
All right. Let's get back on track.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. Elden Ring is like fictional. I think
No,
is
it's
what
fictional.
Well, of course it's fictional. Oh well.
Hey, it's not real, but God of War Ragnarok explains what the Greeks thought would happen.
Not Greeks.
The Vikings, the
Norse
people
mythology.
Norse mythology, people that believed in the Norse mythology.
It's Norse, not North.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, stop. You are not Grammarly. Be quiet. So,
Are you sure?
it
It looks like
explains.
we need it.
It explains. Okay. It explains what happened back then, what people thought would happen, what they thought happened, and how stuff became stuff. How the gods were born.
Can I interrupt Connor there real quick?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. I don't want to be that person, but sure, it does explain that. But by using that type of mindset, you could also say Elden Ring's pretty realistic for having swords in it. I'm just saying, by using that type of stuff.
RJ. No, that is if you've read books. Some books say that's what happened. Other books say that's not what happened. The designers and creators of that game wanted to explain what the books they had when they read them as children. They wanted to explain what they read, and you could interact with it.
Well, I gotta argue with that too then. So, here's my problem with that, Connor. I'm gonna argue with this.
RJ, alright, let me finish.
Okay, fine. But I'm gonna argue with it after.
We're gonna move on to story mode.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna absolutely destroy you guys in story mode. You guys do not stand a chance. All right. Do you want me to start off, or are you guys?
Hold on. I gotta argue against Connor.
One sec. I'm drinking some water.
Oh my god, Connor.
Alright, I'm ready.
Continue.
So, in God of War Ragnarok story mode, they're starting off the way you meet and find out that Atreus is this transforming beast. And when you meet what is it? That one lady? I forget her name.
One magician person?
No, not the magician. The
Abracadabra.
No, the lady that took care of all the animals on that one.
Yeah, I know that one magician lady.
Yeah, Abracadabra.
When you meet her, she teaches you how to use your powers for good instead of anger.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, we have way better story mode than Elden Ring.
Not true.
RJ, be quiet. RJ, would you like to comment on that?
Okay, yeah. First of all, we already went over story mode. Second of all, I'm gonna comment on what you said before. That logic here. I'm gonna use your ideology. So, God of War's Ragnarok. Tail, listen to this. And this is bullcrap made by Connor. If God of War Ragnarok is realistic, technically, Elden Ring realistic for having similarities to other cultures. I mean, not Greek, Norse mythology for God of War Ragnarok. Technically, Elden Ring could be conceived as realistic because it has similarities, stuff like, even though this isn't God of War related, Spartans and like all these God related stuff. You could argue then that Elden Ring is realistic if we use your ideology for that. What do you have to think about? What do you have to comment on that, Tail?
Okay, so I'm gonna continue off of what RJ just said. So the classes define time and history of the real world. So if you want to talk about actual thing, samurais were an actual thing. And there's some dope katanas for that. That's just Japan. Then you talk about like how there is robbers. There is like the wreck class, which talks about the prehistoric Stone Ages. The robber class, where it talks about how there was robbery back in the day. The wreck class, which talks about how there used to be plague doctors back in the day. Like, there is so many arguments that you can make towards that it makes it so much more realistic. And not even the game is realistic, just the character classes are much more realistic than this God of War. Like,
Yeah.
God of War just has a, like, combine of Sparta and, like, North
Of course.
Viking. Meanwhile, Elden Ring has, like, several, or maybe even, like, it outdoes God of War in how many cultural and actual references there are. And that's just, like, I feel like that's a fact. Like, if we're talking about how it bases off of real life, Elden Ring wins that one. Anyways, I don't care who wants to speak next. Who wants
to? I'm going to speak again. So, Connor, I know I'm on your side and everything, but if you make another dumb remark, I swear to God I'm going to switch sides. I'm just saying this right now. You made yourself so blatantly open so you could comment about how Elden Ring technically would be more realistic. So I'm just going to say that right now. But besides for that, I feel like this has been a pretty good conversation. And we might hear. What do you?
I feel like there's a couple of things that we can go over, but like I feel like if you want to end it here, then we can go ahead.
Yeah. So we're gonna end it here.
All right.
This was a pretty good conversation. Connor and Tao, say goodbye to the viewers. Goodbye.
Bye.
Connor, unmute.
Third episode of TCMR.
Yeah.
Where Milo
come back for
absolutely screwed up the second episode.
Yeah, come back for another TCMR episode. Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.